Hi Julie, hi Megan. This week I read an article titled Courbet's Materialism by Frédéric Desbuisson. Uh, so we're looking at French realism and its best representative, Gustave Courbet. And the main thesis here is that he was very much misunderstood by critics and contemporaries, both in terms of intentions and technique. He was often referred to as a socialist because of the subjects he chose to paint, you know, working class, for instance, and not the bourgeoisie. And when he chose to paint the bourgeoisie, for instance, he was not afraid to show all the human ugliness, really. Uh, and he was very often, he was referred to as a materialist. But why did they do that? Well, because of his love for observing nature and actually painting things as he saw them, and anything that was visible had to be in the realm of painting, but nothing else. So look, for instance, at the burial at Ornan. Many critics, detractors at the time, decided to nickname it the burial of romanticism, and in a way it was. Because no, Courbet decides um, to depart from any romantic or classic iconic idea and approach that you can think of, where your subject, is not something that you can see in reality, and it's not the way that um, it's not the exact way that it looks like. So it departs from all that, and it becomes a realist and a materialist, seen in a negative way. This negative connotation is reinforced by a very distinct technique that he used, or very distinctive tool, which is the palette knife. So whatever paint was left, he would scrap it off and he would apply it onto the canvas. It wasn't just to, it wasn't what John Constable was doing. It wasn't exactly what was Constable was doing 30 years earlier in Britain, where he was kind of using it just at the end of a painting, um, sort of finish off and add an extra layer and kind of like make sure I used all the paint, I guess. And what Courbet's doing, he's using the palette knife in the process. Across the painting, he's gonna use it for like add some realistic details to a cliff by actually scraping off paint, um, or he's going to use it to better depict the form of a wave. And, and that was very much misunderstood, and many critics blamed him because he was using a knife, the palette knife, and that wasn't a very sophisticated tool. It wasn't fine enough, and that was something that a road painter would do. Um, he did take the art scene, the art world by storm, really. And the author believes that part of the reason was because of his physique, his body figure did become, uh, important uh, and big at some point. In his early portraits, when he was in his 20s, we can see a very lean young man, and then by the time he was 40, he was already obese, unfortunately. He was a big man, and eventually that became a health issue till the day before his death, where his body had swollen so much they could no longer take it. Um, but the author does believe that his body somehow became part of the artistic product, and because of that, his manners did come across to be rude. Um, on top of that, put his accent. It was very distinctive. So it was a distinctive um, uh, French Comté accent, I believe. He was proud of his rural origins. Um, some critics said he was taking it too far. It was kind of a bit staged, so he was self-promoting this sort of stage persona. But there's no, and they claimed he was using the media all the time, the press, again to his advantage, and again to self-promote himself. But there's no, the author says there's not enough evidence to suggest that he was doing that. So no, and that paid off in the end. I mean, he went through some hard times during the regime, but then in the end, he was even offered the Légion d'honneur medal. He refused it. Obviously, that ruffled a few feathers, among the ruling class, but he actually became even more popular among the population who opposed the, the previous regime. So in the end, it kind of did this, down to earth, realistic, materialistic, if you wish, approach. It did pay. Good for him. So yeah, going back to the main thesis, yeah, he was definitely misunderstood, and he was kind of blamed for ending burning romanticism. In a way, yeah, we're not saying that he meant to do that, but he definitely did it in a way. And he was lucky enough to be, because of all these features, his technique, his intentions, his choice of subjects, his body. He was the perfect was the perfect representative of a of a realist the realist movement, even if that was a label that was given, as it often happens, was given by by writers, critics, and the audience. It wasn't necessary. Nicknames or labels are often not something that's chosen by artists themselves, and definitely it wasn't the case this time. But yeah, he's definitely gone down in history as the best representative of realism. That was my analysis. Hope you enjoyed it, and speak next time. Bye bye.